Hey guys, so today we're going to be here in our podcast with Domingo Rodriguez. He's a seasoned investor, knew exactly what he wanted, went out and got it. 25 years plus in the industry. You name it, this guy's it. Domingo, thank you for coming through. We're here at the walkthrough. I'm here as well as our co-host, Randy. Here we go. Let's go.
Hi, I'm Domingo Rodriguez, aka Expert Advisor Broker on Instagram, a 25-year veteran in real estate, and father to a husband, and a developer and author and speaker and so many other things. Thank you, Lord.
Domingo, so let's take it back a little. So before real estate, what did you dedicate yourself to?
Before real estate, after college, I worked in the television industry. Then right after television, I didn't get to work in the television industry. I'm lying. I was interning in television production, and I worked there while I was in college. And when I graduated college, I interned there, and I interned in the music industry. And then when I graduated, I entered working in the music industry. So I was a music manager, for marketing manager for record labels and distribution.
Okay, nice. And New York area, New Jersey?
In Manhattan.
Okay. Oh, so you were kind of like in the center of the music industry.
Oh yeah, it was
a mix.
It was the absolute best.
How'd you go from the music industry into real estate?
No, it was completely left field. I mean, I honestly have to say it was definitely a God thing. God definitely put real estate in my path when he did. I felt like I was good. My dreams and goals were all in music executive, as an executive, right? And then the music industry slowly but surely started like shrinking. And I guess it was the beginning of the end back then, where it was like they were merging and they were buying people out. And I had went to my second place. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, this looks like, I kind of got like the warning sign. So when I eventually got let go from my position, I got a severance package, and I got time to think. And then I was like, okay, I want to do something else, but I don't want to do music again because I don't want this to happen to me again, right? So I ended up finding one of those recruiter people that get you jobs. And they sent me on a job to do them a favor, actually. It wasn't even like a job they thought I would get, or not a job that I wanted, I thought I would want. They sent me to an airport advertising company, which I had never heard of that kind of industry. So there, I ended up charming them or whatever, and they ended up liking me and wanting me to work with them. So I ended up being a sales rep for this airport advertising agency that worked out in LaGuardia and JFK. And what we did was we did all the billboards in there, and then eventually we did the jet bridge where you walk in and you're going onto the plane and you see signs. That was us. We did those. I was part of the company that had that. And then I had other airports like Orlando International, a whole bunch. I had a whole bunch of airports. So I ended up in that. So when I was in that, I said to myself one day, I said, you know what? Let me get like a second thing in case this doesn't work out. Somebody lays me off again. I don't want to like be older and then just come fall down. So I said, so the funny story is how God introduced me to real estate. Me and my girl at the time was looking to get an apartment. So we were going on an appointment to an apartment that we were going to go look at. On the way to the apartment, we're walking there, and I see a sign on the door, on the door, and it says "moving sale." So I said, "Look, babe, moving sale." She's like, "Oh, well, and?" I'm like, "That means they're moving. They're probably selling stuff. We could probably get some of their stuff or whatever, right? Furniture or whatever. We're moving." So she's like, "Oh, that's a good idea." So we go inside. Now, inside there was the bell of the person for the movies. Now, it's there. It says moving sale and their bell. So we were like, oh, damn. So we just rang their bell, and they happened to answer. So they were like, hey, you having a movie sale? And they were like, yeah, come up upstairs if you want to see the stuff. So we were like, all right. So they buzzed us, we go upstairs. When we went in there, the apartment was real nice. It was like a hooked up apartment. So we're like, oh, you guys are moving or whatever? Like, yeah, we're moving to Georgia. So they were in the music business too. Me and my girl were in the music business. So we started talking about the music business, people we know. So before you know it, we were like, yo, so then it hits me. I'm like, oh, if y'all leaving, that means the spot going to be open. Forget that other spot. What about this one? So I told them that, and they're like, oh, if you want to, we'll recommend you. because now we hit it off and everything.
Yeah.
So they call the landlord on the spot. Landlord gets on the phone with us. He's like, hey, how are you guys? This and that. And I'm like, yo, I love this place. I want it. I'll take it, right? So he's like, oh, no, hold on. I already set up an open house this weekend. It's in the airport, it's in the paper and everything. I can't like cancel that or whatever. So just come to the open house. You'll meet us, and if everything works out, you get recommended by them. So you already got a leg up. So we'll take you guys. So we're like, I bet. That's the moment that changed my life forever. So we go that Saturday to the open house, and when I walked into the lobby of this building, there must have been 30, 40 people there. Yeah. So I was like, 30, 40 people for one apartment? Yeah. So it blew my freaking mind. I'm like, how? Like, how is that even possible? Like, 40 people want one place? Like, it took me for such a loop that my mind couldn't even handle it. The whole time I'm in there, I'm saying to myself, damn, so that means real estate must be good. Mind you, I know nothing about real estate. I don't know anything about real estate, but my mind said real estate must be good if there's this many people for one place. I'm like, damn, real estate must be good. So the whole time when we go upstairs, we talk to the people about the apartment. Our dumb self, us not knowing, we were making changes in the apartment. And mind you, they had made the apartment, because this is like a condo building. So picture a condo building, you own your own unit, and this couple, put their touches on the kitchen, they put their touches in the bathroom, and we're telling them about changing things. So they were looking at us like, we don't want these guys. They were trying to change our stuff. So I ended up leaving there. I go home. On the way home, my brain's just like, yo, real estate must be good. So then I'm like, dang. So now that's what God just planted the seed. So I go home that night, I never forget it, and I call my uncle with my go-to. So my uncle was talking, I said, yo, by the way, you don't happen to know how to get into real estate or whatever, do you? And he's like, not really. He goes, but you know what? I think I see ads in the paper sometimes for real estate. So I never read the paper, so I was like, okay, cool. So I hung up with him. I worked in Manhattan and airport advertising. So I go to catch the train in the morning from Jersey City. I live in Jersey City to go to New York. So on the way going in, I happened to look down and see the paper. And I said, you know what? Let me grab the paper. He said it was in there, right? So I bought the paper. I go to in New York. I go to my desk. I sit down. I open it. And sure enough, boom. Want to be a realtor? We'll pay for your real estate thing. Send us this back, and we'll pay for your school. Yeah. I was like, what? So I cut that junk out. I made the call right there. I mailed that junk in. I was in school in 2 weeks. I was in school, just like that. Boom, boom, boom. From that day to that day, I just took action. That was the key thing. There, I just took action. So, and then from there on, it was history.
So you were pretty much juggling both. You were still
I was doing the airport advertising thing. I took my classes for real estate on the weekends, and then when I finished my classes, I just worked on the weekends. Okay. So that's what I was just doing for a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Did they give you the apartment?
No.
You went in there.
They were like, this guy wants to change everything. They're like, not them. They straight passed on us, bro. But I think that wasn't the reason we were there. Yeah. We weren't there for that apartment. We were there for the bigger thing, which is like, look at this. Look what I got out of that. That changed my life. Yeah. If I don't even notice that sign, you know what I'm saying? If I don't ring that bell, if I don't go upstairs, I don't talk to them,
Yeah. So at that time, Domingo, how old were you when you first started the real estate journey?
The real estate journey? Like 28.
Okay, so pretty much, how long did it take you to say, okay, this is working, this is what I want to do, like, full time?
It got told for me, to be honest with you. I ended up getting laid off from my job.
Oh, so when you were getting prepared to, it ended up happening. So
but later, later on.
You already had the base.
I already had the base. I was already doing it. I was already digging it. And I was just buying my second house, I think. So I was about to quit. I think I quit. I quit. No, that was what happened. I don't know what happened. I bought my second. No, I had 2 or 3 investment properties that I had bought in Baltimore. Right there was my first houses that I bought. Then I bought a house on Temple Street. And then what happened was I was selling a house on North 3rd. I fell in MLS and I couldn't believe the numbers. And I kept telling everyone, like, yo, you got to buy this house. And then I remember being outside the house going over all the numbers with them. And I was like, yo, these numbers for real? I was like, hold on. So they were like, yo, we're going to think about it. I said, all right, think about it. I went to my car. I started doing it over. I said, no, these numbers can't be right. So I started doing all. I said, yo, this deed number's around. I said, I want this house. So sure enough, I'm like, yo. So I call up my mortgage rep at the time. I had just bought that house. I was like, yo, can I buy another house right now? And they were like, oh, not really, or whatever. So I was like, oh, I was like, why? And she was like, cuz you already got FHA with us. So I was like, oh, okay. I said, when she said with us, I was like, oh, okay. So I called another mortgage up. I said, yo, can I get a loan with you or whatever? And he was like, yeah. I was like, can I get a FHA or whatever? And they were like, yeah. I ended up getting 2 FHAs at the same, like back
in the same year,
back to back.
Oh wow!
Oh wow!
Back to back. I know because of me, they probably changed the rules, but
yeah, you gave me ideas.
You can't do that now.
No.
Yeah, no, you can't.
You can't do that now.
Yeah.
They didn't have the system for it before.
Yeah.
Wow.
So by the time they caught on to it, I already had it. So
Yeah.
I ended up buying that one. And that house made me, the reason I knew that I could quit, because that house was making me $2,000 a month profit.
Oh wow.
And I was making like $3,500 working.
Yeah.
So I was like 35. I said, if I get 2 of these, I'm good. I said, I don't even have to wake up no more.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking in my head. I saw young and naive I was. I was like, I don't even have to wake up no more if I get 2 of these. So once I saw that, I quit. I was like, no, I'm trying to get another one of these.
Yeah. That's where kind of everything else expanded.
That's where everything else just
Click.
It's clicked from right there. Once I saw that,
No brainer.
$2,000. Because I had just bought the other one was making $1,000 already.
Yeah.
So this one was 3. I'm already pretty much matched my salary. What the hell am I going to go to work, be in New York?
Might as well dedicate all that time.
All that, that's what I said, right? But I'm gonna go all the way, the whole month, commute all the way into New York, doing all that when I could be risking not getting more stuff. So I was like, nah.
What do you think allowed you to say, like, you know what, I am cut from this cloth of servicing clients and servicing people, and like, you know what, wow, I like helping these people out, right? What at what point in your life did you see that?
I saw that by mistake, to be honest with you, because when I was doing it, that whole time I was searching for stuff for me. Because I thought to myself, I only got the license so I could buy myself stuff, so I could have stuff. I wasn't doing it for a career. I didn't even know what a real estate salesperson was. I didn't know what that was, and I had no interest in it.
Yeah.
Because I liked working in Manhattan. I liked working in music, on billboards and stuff like that. So selling real estate wasn't something that I even thought of or anything. So I actually fell into it because I had to do it in order to get more money to buy more stuff.
Yeah.
So and I wasn't working no more, and then the clients were around. So I was just like, you know what? So the funny part is, I became such a good investment realtor because I was doing so much research for myself. I was doing so much research for myself that every day, all I would do is look at properties, go see them, see how much rent is in them, see when their leases were up, if it was Section 8 or not. I learned everything about Section 8. So I knew everything about every house that was for sale. And I knew everything about who was in it, how much rent, how much, everything. I knew all that. So from that knowledge, when I started riding around, I didn't even know I had that knowledge until I started riding around with people. And I'm like, oh, that house right there is this much, and and this house, and and I would go every time I went around Patterson, I just knew every house. So now that knowledge is what really helped me serve people.
You kind of started backwards. You could kind of say, because some people, they service the clients to get to investing. You right off the bat, you were investing, and that gave you the knowledge to feel confident. Okay, now I can help other people do it.
Right.
Kind of.
And I think back then it led to that, because back then, don't forget, my first house that I bought on Temple, I want to say I bought that for $85 or something like that. So you figure $85,000, my down payment was like $2,500, $2,800, some stupid something like that, some stupid number like that. My closing costs were like another $3,000 or $4,000. Mind you, they paid my closing costs, plus it was 2 Section 810s in there, so I got both their checks. I ended up leaving with money.
Yeah.
So something like that. So you could do that. Nowadays you can't do that. You know what I'm saying? So that's the reason probably why it went that way, as opposed to if you're trying to do that now, you have to have 10 closings before you could do that.
If you could give a message to somebody that bought in that era and that they're being reintroduced to this market, what would it be?
That bought in that era and they're reintroduced to this market. What I can tell you is, in this market, it's more of a hold on equity type of market, where back then you weren't getting fast equity. It was going to be a slow equity and higher cash flow. So the only difference is you get now faster equity and slower cash flow. The equity is the gold. It ain't the cash flow. The cash flow, we all got fooled with the cash flow, but the cash flow is just, to hold you over.
It's more about that equity,
Yeah, it's all about the equity now, because especially, how much you need it. You know what I'm saying? If you need the cash flow, then you might want to be doing something else or whatever. But if you don't need the cash flow, then it's just better to have it flowing in there and then having it going up at night so fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's more like if you're kind of into the cash flow, maybe like a flipping, maybe something like that is kind of more of your bread and butter, as to if you're more, interested in building something that with time you're gonna get that equity. So that's when you're like buy and hold.
Yeah, no, I think if you're looking for cash flow, then you just got to buy bigger, more units. That's all. It's not like with us. Like when I started, you could do that off a two family with a basement or without it. You could still flow. You could still cash flow. I mean, like I said, I had two families and they were cash flowing lovely.
Mm-hmm.
The one that was making 2,000 on that one did have a finished basement, so that was the third unit. Which right now to cash flow, you need 3 units or more. Yeah. You can cash flow, or if you really want to cash flow, like if that's your thing, then you gotta get more than 10 units.
Yeah, of course.
8 to 10 units or whatever.
You kept those properties over at Temple and the other one you bought?
No, man. Temple, I ended up selling it way too early.
Yeah.
To a friend of mine. I should have never sold it to him. And I ended up selling it to him.
He still has it?
No, he ended up selling it, and now it's a new house. Actually, I don't even know how that got to there, and then my North Third, which was my gym. I had a client at the time, and he was looking to buy. He had several houses, and he wanted to buy that one. And I was like, "Yo, I'm not selling it. I thought that was not for sale." And he's like, "No, how much will you sell me that window for?" So he said, "What if I offered you this?" I forgot what I want to say. It was 190 or something like that. I don't remember what it was. I know I bought it for 99, and he was offering me probably almost 200 or something like that.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Damn, I'm a net 90 something thousand." Up to that point, I had never seen anything like that. I was like, all right, it's for sale. It's for sale. Sold to the highest bidder. That sure enough, I sold it to him, and I never looked back. I think I left it. With $94,000 check. I was like, oh my God, this is life.
How did you feel when you got that first check?
Oh, when I got that check, bro, I felt like, damn. I felt like, wow. It's indescribable, bro. Yeah. I was like,
what song did you play? I'm telling you, there's always a song you play that you go back to. And
you know what? I wish I remember what song I played. I don't even remember.
Like when you win,
I know what I did with it, though. I know that. I took that money and I freaking bought a house in South Jersey. I bought a house in Camden. I already had the BMW. I bought a Range Rover. And I bought a Lex Drop. And I bought a 4-family. I bought all that with that same money.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I stretched the hell out of that money. And I lived on it. And I took mad trips. Oh my God. I went to Brazil twice. I went to Santo Domingo 3 times. And I went a whole bunch of other places. But it served me well. Yeah. It served me well. It served its purpose. My mother always taught me, she was like, you always have something to show for it. Yeah. Never have money, a whole bunch of money, and don't have nothing to show for it. That's like, nah.
What were books that helped you? If it was a book, if it was a mentor, what were things that were like really, really crucial in your development?
My development definitely was books. The funny part is, born and raised in Passaic, I did not like reading at all, right? And in high school, I wasn't pushed to read. And I think I was so slick in high school that even when I was given like a book report or a book to read, I would just read the front and the back. And I would just make something, and I would just write off of that. I could write a whole story off of that. And I'd write my whole books off of that. Sometimes I would like go too crazy. I would just look through the whole story, just write back what I was reading in there. One time, one teacher called me one time. He's like, "You plagiarizing and stuff." I was like, okay, sorry. I'll do better next time. But that's how bad I didn't want to read, right? So I go all through college. I didn't even read one book all through college, right? So I get out of college. I'm on my own. I live in Jersey City. And I get this book. I don't even know where I got it from. Think and Grow Rich. I'll never forget it, though. And I read that book from cover to cover. And I was like, damn, this is freaking cool. I'm like, it's so much stuff in here. I was shocked that book, a lot of the things in there, I naturally did them. And I'm like, dang, I didn't even know these were things, you know? Yeah. And then the things that I didn't do, I was like, I'm adding those to my arsenal. And I added everything on there, and it was Think and Grow Rich. It was just, you got to think your way through strategies. You got to think your way to life. You got to strategize your way through life. It's not what you think it is. It's the way you think it. That's what it is. And if you think it right, you're gonna get that right. So from there, I read that, and from there, I started my reading journey. That started helping my personal development. And then from there, I was having an issue with. Oh yeah, then I remember from there when I ended up leaving my job and going to real estate full time. When I left the music business to go to this, a friend of mine gave me this book called "Who Moved My Cheese," something like that. Yeah. And I read that book, and I was like, oh, that opened me up a little bit differently. I was like, oh wow, so damn, books do this for you? Yeah. Like takes you to these places, and so then from there I just started getting just going crazy. So now, man, I got a giant library now, bro. I love books, and that's like my thing. But I listen to more now than I read. Yeah. But I still have books.
What would you say to somebody that's not there yet, that they kind of, because it happens a lot where people kind of say, really books are not my thing. Somebody that's not there yet, what do you think would be something that could help them?
Okay, that's a good question. I think that something like that, you might want to like ease into it by having an audio account or getting a Hoopla account. Mm-hmm. Actually, that's what I would do. I would start with a Hoopla account. Mm-hmm. Hoopla is an app, Hoopla, I think it is, and that's an app that is attached to your local library. So that app, you have to go into your local library and give them your ID and all that, and then they'll give you a library card. And with that library card, you can put that information in the app, and then now that gives you access to all the libraries in the world, or the United States or something. I don't know the world, but the United States. And then in there, they rent you books, audio books, ebooks, movies, everything is in there. So you get to do that from there. So that would be a good start if you don't like to read, and listen to some books. Right, and then once you listen to a book and you like it, then maybe try to pick it up and read it, or maybe grab it from there, grab the ebook in there. Is what I would suggest to start with.
Yeah, pretty much. When I first started reading books, it was kind of like I was never a reading person. I hated reading in school. Yeah, me too. So what I kind of did at first, I would go on YouTube, look up summarize the book, mm-hmm. and then you kind of get hooked onto it after a while, and then I would go pick up the book, and mm-hmm. sometimes it's not that you don't read it because you don't like to read, or sometimes you don't have the time to sit there. Okay, let me. So what I would do is audiobooks, hear it in the car, every time wherever you're going, appointments, whatever, and then you just put it in the car. When you're walking, exercising, I would put it in my ear, and that's kind of how I finish most of my books, rather as sitting there, because sometimes we don't have the time to do it. So that helped me with reading.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It wasn't until I made a habitual reading time that I was able to really read. If I didn't have a habitual reading time, that's the only time I've gone through books. If I told myself 15 minutes every single night right before bed, then I did those 15 minutes. That's how I got through some books that way, reading. Or when I did, I said, first thing in the morning or whatever time. As long as I set it up as a habit, that's when I was able to read. But another thing that I realize now, back then, when I first started, that I was using a lot, that was a game changer, was I was listening to a lot of real estate podcasts back then, with mega teams and mega agents and all that, and seeing what they did and what they were talking about. And then that is what led me to webinars and seminars and then going to other states for real estate conferences and stuff like that. That's what led me to all. That's what really led to my self-development: the reading, the podcast, and then webinars and seminars and going to other places. All that together. That's what you need to do.
I know that you've had a ton of decisions to make in your life in order to get to the level you're at now. What are certain components that you use that help your decision-making skills to choose the decision you feel like is right?
You know what? That is one of those things where, I don't know, I want to say that God has blessed me with long-term thinking, right? I think my long-term thinking allows me to make smoother decisions because everything is for the long haul. If it isn't, I never do anything for today. Mm-hmm. So right away, if it's something that I'm making a decision for and it's not long term, I don't even deal with it. I just let it go, and everything I do is to mount on, to for the long run, for the long run. That's why I think that's why I'm around 25 years later, because I never took this as, let me try this out, let me see how this goes, let me see how this is. I never took it that way, or I never took it about, oh, so good right now. Oh my God, it's so bad right now. And I never went up and down. It was always like, okay, because my long term goal is I'm gonna be successful and rich or whatever, whatever, and just go on that level. So now I make decisions a little different. Now I pray and I ask God for guidance for my decisions now. So I go to Him first and I say, Lord, this is what I'm dealing with, and I just bring it to Him and I just keep bringing it until He gives me an answer. And usually He gives me an answer pretty quick.
So how'd you get to that level of maturity? Because I think that that's something that people kind of sometimes struggle with. How'd you make that transition
The
in your life?
The God decision with that part of it?
Yeah, and with,
All
kind of just planning everything, and having, let's say, you have a vision and you execute the vision. There's some people that they're still juggling to see what are they gonna do in tomorrow's day. It's kind of like a day by day type of thing.
Yeah, I think that a lot of times, I think what happens is when you don't know what you want out of life and stuff, I think it blurs your decisions a little more. So I'll give you an example. The fact that I knew I wanted a big life, I knew I wanted a big house, kids in private school, new cars, swimming pool, vacation. I knew I wanted those things, right? So my mindset was, I got to be a top agent then, or a top investor. I can't afford to be average or not average, because how am I gonna get all that if I don't do that? So if my mindset is long term, I'm gonna be a top agent because I want to get these things. There's no shiny object. Not gonna get on my way because I'm trying to get those things. So my mindset was like, yo, I gotta be top. I gotta sell 20 houses. I ain't got no choice. I didn't have a choice. See, I think when you give yourself a choice, I think that's when you kind of fall victim to, all these things, because you didn't really choose. You didn't really pick. I chose. I was gonna be who I'm gonna be, and I knew that a long time ago. Because I always knew. I know I want things. I know what I want. I know today I wouldn't be paying for my kids' private school if I didn't think that already. I knew that. I knew that they were going to go to private school. So that's another 20 G's that you got to come up with. You know what I'm saying? So if you ain't ready for that, and I knew I wanted a big house. So I can't be living in my girl's house if I'm trying to get a big house. You know what I'm saying? I can't have a small job and a new car.
Yeah, no, 100. I think to make it in this world, you kind of have to have discipline and strategy, because some people, all right, you get the 2 3 commissions, and then it's like, okay, this is nice, and then they fall victim to the shiny things, the nice things, that they forget about the strategy, or they forget that all this is nice, but it's not long term. It's not building anything. So you kind of, I what I see is you kind of stuck to your bread and butter, which was investing. So, you took that discipline from what you were making with the clients and everything, and then kind of put that back into what you knew was going to work long term, pretty much.
Pretty much, for me, what carried me though was sales. To be honest, the sales carried me more than the investments were just a bonus. But my sales is what carried me. Just selling a lot of houses. That's really what did it. And then once I saw that cash flow, then it was just a repeat, a rinse and repeat. And so it just, but we had a different time, because back then we had a lot of inventory, a little bit of clients. Right now, you have a lot of clients, a little bit of inventory. So I think this market is a little more challenging than that market. So I think back then it lended for me to sell 20 houses easily. You know what I mean? Whereas today it's harder to sell 20 houses because you got way more competition, you got way less inventory to choose from, and then you got, obviously you got clients, but it doesn't match. So I think that's what I did. But again, I think it goes back to the fact that I know where I'm at. But I think too is it's all the personal development I think that I put in there, because it's always giving me strategy. I was always listening to somebody on a podcast, or I was going to to a seminar in Dallas, and I was listening to them. I mean, they were putting drones on top of tables for air shots in 2015, 2014. That wasn't even a thought of ours around here. Nobody was taking aerial shots of a house. They were already talking about that. So they were talking about so many things that was strategy, that was such ahead. See, that's the key part there is you got to put into yourself. See, right away, you get 2 or 3 commissions, or you want a watch, or you want a chain, or you want to go with your girl to Cancun, where that's cool, but where you put back into yourself. Where with me is I got that book, I was still on that podcast, back to what you're saying about discipline. Now instead of me getting a Rolex, I went to Dallas for a seminar. Instead of me going to Cancun, I paid $10,000 to go see Tony Robbins. You know what I'm saying? Where the average person ain't spending $10,000 to go do something like that. No. So that's the return on investment. I get that way. Oh, how much did you get back from that? I don't know.
Tony's life changing.
Oh my God, that was well, $10,000. That was business mastery that I did with him.
I think that's up to
business mastery.
That's up to like 20 grand.
Now, right? Yeah. Back then it was 10.
Yeah.
And that was a lot.
But that's a life-changing program.
Yeah, oh my God. It's too much. It's too much info.
Yeah.
It's too much. It was way too much. It was mind-blowing. It was too mind-blowing. It was
too much. Drinking water out of a fire hose.
Bro, we were there all day and night. All day from the morning, from 9 to 11 o'clock at night. You sit in the room.
That definitely reimagined everything you had, going on at the moment. And
No, everything there is way ahead, bro. Oh my God. Back then, bro.
Very advanced.
Everything he was talking about. I mean, we had a session in that business mastery where they were already talking about talking machine to machine. Where that's the next era that's coming next, where your car is going to be talking to your house, telling it, yo, Randy's almost home. He likes that 65. It's going to turn the air on for you at 65.
Yeah, that sounds very...
No, that sounds now, right? But I went in 2016. Right, that time it was that was light years away, bro. Look at it now; we can see it a little closer. But back then, you couldn't. All this that was a fraction of what the things that was said about what was going to happen and all that. So that when you doing that, when you constantly doing that, it's all in there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That's the discipline comes from your. You don't have to be that disciplined because you got strategy.
Yeah,
like look, just for example, how did I have the wherewithal back in 2007? When the crash came, and I said to myself, all right, I felt like it was Katrina and we were getting hit with the storm, and I was like, I'm gonna go do REOs because I can see that right now it's about to shift, right? And if I go to REOs, everybody's losing everything. They ain't now out here. I might as well go into there. And look, I go into there, which I had no experience on REOs or nothing, found my way in there, and I didn't get paid for 6 months. I didn't get a paycheck for 6 months. The average person couldn't do that.
Yeah.
They all quit. Everybody that came in with me quit. They didn't see a check in sight. And my friend kept telling me, like, yo, chill. Once you get one, it's going to keep coming. And it's not like real estate. Like, we got to check like every week. You know what I mean? Because our closing was happening every week in foreclosure. A lot of people think, oh, you got to be super disciplined. Not really. What you got to be is you got to put so much into yourself. You got to develop yourself so much that you can pull out a strategy out of your pocket, and that'll make up for your lack of discipline. If you lack discipline, obviously discipline makes you even higher. That's why you have a person like that.
Okay, so kind of with all this experience, Domingo, that you've had, what led you to shift into development?
That's a 2-part answer. The one part is once you start doing something for so long, like the feeling kind of goes away a little bit. Like you don't feel the same about it because it's over and over the same thing. You see so many changes in the industry. You see how much harder it is to be successful at the same thing, right? And then on the flip side to that, you see the upswing of development and how America is behind on housing, and they're gonna have to catch up, and you're gonna need to develop thousands and thousands and thousands of units across America for us to sustain. So I said, Dad, that's probably another caboose that I want to hang my thing under. I want to just grab onto that, the fact that America's going to need all this development. So I said, I think I'm going to start my journey from now so that I'm already planning. I see how I do everything long term. I'm not developing for now. I'm developing from 10 years from now. So 10 years from now, I'll know how to develop, So that's why I'm doing it now. So then in 10 years, I'll be a full-fledged developer, and I could be anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world, and I could develop property and just create whatever I want. That's the reason why I made that. That movement. It's not even a switch. It's just like an add-on.
Yeah.
Just added it on, but eventually, I'll sway it.
Did it give you that spark back?
Definitely. Definitely. Development is a whole different thing. It takes a whole different set of skills. It takes a whole different set of patience and understanding and problem solving that we're used to. It takes some of the skills that we have, but it's a whole bunch of other new skills and different. And a lot of things is in your control, but then out of your control as well, because you got all this stuff with permits and cities and factors and all this stuff, and then you got all these people in the way. But the good part is that once you're done and you go through all that, the value jump is stupid. It's so good, and then you have a brand new structure that you own.
Yeah. Yeah, I know a lot of developers, they prefer new construction, not only because you kind of see everything from the start. It's kind of something you're building, but also it's less of a headache when you know that everything is brand new. So some people say it's easier rather than you taking on let's say something that you have to renovate because you don't know what's behind this wall. You don't know what's gonna come up. With new construction, everything is just kind of pack and go because everything is new. Do you feel that way, that it's easier in the sense?
The one sense that is easier it's easier to put together, right? When you're rehabbing something, from my experience, I'm rehabbing this whole building, and now we're gutting this place, and now all of a sudden we start gutting, and you're like, oh dang, the wire on this side is old as heck compared to that wire. So guess what? When I bought this, I wasn't thinking about changing the whole wire on this side. So 10,000 add on wire on this side. All right, so while you're there, well, since you got the wall open, there's no plate thing that you could put right here. You should put that there while you got it there. I put that in there now. Add that to it. I got to come back, and then your contract's got to make decisions, and you got to be there for those decisions. When you're doing new construction, you just say, here's the prints, and they just follow the prints. That to me was the best part. That was the game changing part for me. That I could just be like, yo, here, you want to help me build this? Or you want your framer? Here, check this out. Oh, you're the sheetrocker? Here, check this out. Whereas before I had to come meet you. You're the framer. I had to come bring you to the house. I frame all this, frame this, do this, and I had to go meet the sheetrock guy. Oh, how many blinds, this and that. Now you just one sheet. So that to me, that changed everything. Some people will say that, obviously, I built the house, 2 years ago or whatever. And obviously, all those mechanicals and all that stuff, nothing's going to go wrong with that stuff for another 10 years or so, right? That's a relief part. But no difference than if you rehab the property, you put 2 new heating furnaces and 2 new hot water tanks, same thing. So in that case, it's going to be almost the same thing. So people don't get caught up in the fact that it's new. It's just if you should definitely grow to it, but don't think it's like it has to replace renovating, because renovating, you're taking on somebody else's thing. Everything is preparable.
But you would say it's not for freshmen?
No, I definitely don't think it's for freshmen. No, there's a reason why you got to be a freshman before you're a senior. And so I think it's the same.
Do you have any developments going on right now?
No, I'm about to start a 4-family right now in the next few weeks.
Nice. And Patterson,
New Jersey, which may or may not be my last one there. I'm not sure. And now I'm starting to think a little different, so I think maybe I might be going.
So Domingo, in your journey, there's been a ton of people that have been with you since day one. People that you, whether family, friends, like, how were you able to? Because you're able to get to the next level. The people that you, I don't want to say left behind, but how did you kind of like process that?
No, I kept succeeding. They stayed.
Easily, they stayed the same.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't want to like put them on. Like, hey, look, I want to put you on. Like, hey, look, I got this new things called real estate. Da 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 da.
Yeah, you know what? I always try to put people on for everything. Even when I went away to college and my friends didn't, trying to put them on college. And people just don't. People don't do what they want to do. So I just offered after that. Just let it go. So that's y'all. That's me. I know what I want.
Yeah.
I know how much I need to make. I know the things I like. So you don't want to do that, no problem. A lot of my best friends, for my whole crew, I mean, I'm probably the only one that went. I mean, older guys on my block, two older guys on my block went to college. That's it. Nobody else went to college. Most people on my block didn't even graduate high school. So right there, there was that, that difference. A lot of them went right to school, right to work. So when I was in college, they were working, they would hook me up. I would chill with them. And then once I got out of college, I kind of moved to Jersey City. It was like a little different. But I always come back and I always came back the whole time. I still come back to this day. It's not, I don't really look at it as any, I try not my best to not put anything in between other people's ways of being and me. Because I like to still be the same. I mean, there's people that's run into me. I mean, there's people right now that know me that, I like lost touch with them for many years and then we caught up again recently. And they'll tell you like that, you sound exactly the same way you sounded when I was young. Yeah. Like, I don't really like to change like that. Because it could be detrimental when you do that, but I'm always pushing and always striving, always pushing. Sometimes I push people the wrong way because then people think they're not as motivated as me, and people always feel like, oh, let them, they don't live and learn and all that. So I'm like, okay. I just give my 2 cents and I just keep on going. That's pretty much what I do with that.
Nice. How have you been able to protect your family, your just everybody like from how you putting the kids into private school, moving to different areas, right? So continuously, elevating yourself. Like where did that start? Kind of sucks.
Yeah, I honestly, going back, I want to say I've always been like that. I've always been the kind of person that is always been working on the next thing and like this to do to get to this, to get to this, to get to this. So my whole that's why in a way I'm kind of having a challenge now because not now, but like a little while ago because it was like there wasn't no next thing, for the first time in my life. It's always been a next thing. So now it's just, what I learned is you can't stop dreaming, right? And you can't stop seeking, right? So whatever you're going after, you got to keep going after something. Because the minute you stop going after things, that's when things seem like simmer down and chill out, and then you just kind of stay plateau. And that for me that's probably hell for me. I would never be able to survive in anything that I'm like there at, Like I always got to be going up, no matter what. So for me, it's not that, to answer your question, it wasn't that hard to protect my family because I already built the force field around it. I already moved my family very early into a nice location. I already made this big foundation to raise my kids up in. I already knew they were going to go to certain schools. So all that is all, that's all encompassing. It's all planned out. It's all in there. It's not like I don't have to do that much because they're getting the best schooling. They were born into God. So they're in church from the day they were born. So between church, God, and then us living it, you know what I'm saying? Because I think a lot of times people take their kids to church and they want the church to affect their kids, right? And it does affect your kid, but it doesn't affect your kid nowhere near as much as them seeing you living it out. Because then that's what they're going to really take in. Because a lot of people make this mistake and they take their kids to church and they don't realize you're better off not taking them to church if you're not going to live it because the kids are honest and they're going to see, wait a minute, you and mom go to church every week. Doesn't church say don't curse? I hear y'all cursing at each other in the other room all the time. Doesn't church say don't lie? Why are you always lying? Don't church say this? Don't church say that? It's rough. You're worse off doing that because a lot of time a kid's not going to tell you that, but a kid is thinking that. Like, oh, but when we go to church and it's contradicting, it's kind of confusing. Like I don't know which side to be on. But when you live it and you don't hear your mother and father curse and you don't see them fighting and you see them giving to the poor and you see them having classes at their house and you see them at every parent thing and you see them giving at every chance that they get, now that becomes more you. Now you get that. You inherit that standard. Yeah, that's our standard. So that's how it was. That's amazing. Yeah, that's amazing.